What's going on, guys? Travis with REC Garage, and in this video we're going to be chopping some 3031 Model A Roadster windshield posts. Let's get into it. Alright, so here we have them. I just took these little nubbies that are screwed into the side. I took those off. So he wants 5.5 inches taken out of these. 5.5 inches. That is insane. Alright, so like I said, it's taking 5.5 inches out of this, and that will make eye to eye 5 inches. So from there to just right there will be, this will come all the way down to here. So the overall length probably be this big. That's small. Actually, 5.5. Yeah, overall length this big. That's tiny. So what I was thinking, I was looking at these threaded holes, and I'm like, okay, so I can take 5.5 inches out of the center of this, and pretty much from there to there is 5.5 inches is right there, as you can probably see. So there's not much. I'd have two threaded holes right next to each other, which would look pretty stupid. So what I'm thinking is actually just cutting it off right at the bottom here, going up 5.5 inches, cutting it, and welding this down to there. Seems simple enough. So yeah, I think that is the plan, and I do have some Model A stanchions, the one that goes to the body, so I'll put it on there and make sure it looks correct. If it looks a little weird, you know, I'll have to do something about it. I might have to cut through the center of this, widen it out so it kind of matches this width. I might have to do that anyway. Then kind of, you know, weld the center back up and cut down here and weld that back up. Then it'll get time consuming. But if I can just cut, weld this down here, oh, that would be perfect. But we'll see. I guess I'm gonna get measuring, die coming, and scribing and cutting. So let's get it. Alright, so what I think I'm gonna do here is use this piece of stainless and either weld these stainless bolts to it at 5.5 inches apart, so these will slip on and I'll know exactly where to weld, and I can kind of file my fit so it's perfect, so when these slip on down there they match up pretty well. Or I'm going to make this reusable and weld a bottom hole. Yeah, I can probably drill a hole and weld this in, and then do some increments with holes. So if I ever want to do a 4-inch chop, it'll be like over here, 3-inch chop, 2-inch chop, you know. So I'll probably do that. That'd be a better idea. Kind of make myself a jig, because when I chop these, usually I just kind of chop it and weld it, but I want to be more accurate now. So let me make this quick jig. It's simple enough, and it'll ensure that these get welded perfect every time. So yeah, let's drill the bottom hole, or I'll find a different piece of stainless. I might find a better one that's thicker, and this one's already bent. It's a little bent, so I want to make sure it does not bend ever, because it's going to be a pretty much a jig template. So let's go find a better one. Okay, so this was the old stuff I was going to use. 1/8 inch by 1 inch stainless. That's for the birds. That's what I'm talking about. 3/8, 0.375. I'm pretty sure, by 2-inch. This will do the job. So, and it's longer, so it can actually do stock height as it is. So, that's good. So, I'll drill that hole, and right off the rip, I'm just going to drill the 5.5-inch chop hole, which is 5 inches from the center of this up. So I tried to go a 64th smaller to see if it would be a better fit, and it didn't work. So I have a 3/8 reamer in here now, and we'll see what happens, you know. I think actually I'm going to do the smart thing and actually clamp it in the vise this time, unlike every other time I do things. Boom. Okay. That was awesome. So now I'm just going to... Oh, fuck yeah, dude. There's like no play in that... in this bolt. After it gets past the thread and that shouldered part. Look at that. Awesome. Hey, if you can see how nice it is in there. And that's a crappy one too. That was rusty and being thrown around my toolbox forever. Alright, so what I'm doing here, I'm putting marking fluid, layout fluid, Dicom, whatever you want to call it, on this piece, and I am going to draw a center line from the center of the bottom hole to the center of the top hole. Just to make sure have everything, all my marks in line, so when I chop one, when I chop it, it's not like all weird looking, you know? Alright, that looks good enough for my house. Now, should I do this thing? Should I use this thing that's accurate? Probably. Alright, so 5.5 inches down would be a 5.5 inch chop. So let's do that one right off the rip, because that's what we're doing here. 5.5. Yes, 5.5. And these are cheap Chinese. These are cheap Chinese calipers. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that is why I am choosing to mark with them, scribe with them, essentially. Because if they were nice Starretts or something like that, I would have not marked with them. And I've said that in previous videos too, that I mark with my calipers because they're not great ones. They're really cheap. Okay, 5.5, right from the hole. Bingo, bango. Let's put a nice mark in there. And I'm just using my transfer punch set right now because that's what's closest to me, and it has a nice point to it. So boom. As you can see the nice mark there. Now I'm going to drill it out and ream it. And since I'm switching drill bits and all this kind of thing, I figured I'd give you a quick tip if you don't know already. I see a lot of people online every time they're drilling multiple holes and tapping things and doing things on a mill more than a drill press, but they always do one operation, take the part out of the vise, show the camera, and then put it back in the vise, switch the tool out. If you keep it in the vise at all times, like I just switched from the 1/8 inch drill bit to this, I think 25/64 or something, and you don't move anything, it's going to be directly in line of that hole still. You don't have to reline it up and worry about anything. It's precision machining right here on this old crappy drill press. Precision machining. So, if you can, don't take the part out after you drill the first hole to check it out. If you drilled it, it's fine. So, that being said, I'm going to drill this and then ream it without moving anything, hopefully. And it should be the perfect hole exactly where you want it. So, just figured, quick tip there. If you're seeing all the people take things out and put it back in the vise when it's really not needed, it's not a good practice. So, back to it. Alright, so now I got my bottom hole, 5.5 inch chop hole, and my stock height hole. And I wrote on there, Ford convertible 3031. I'm missing an A and a couple other letters, so I had to kind of, put windshield post or windshield. I guess I could put windshield. Or am I missing something else? I don't remember what I'm missing. I'm missing an N. That N is an upside down U, but you know, it gets the job done. So, I'm going to, I guess, start cutting. There's nothing else really to do. It's all set up. I can put my bottom in here. And, you know, I think I'm going to lop off the bottom. I don't know if I said this, but I'll say it again. I'm just going to lop the bottom off. Like right after that crack. Not crack, the that groove there. Cut it right there. Measure up 5.25 inches because I don't want to cut 5.5 because I'll probably cut it too much. I'll do 5.25. Put it on the jig, see if it looks right. And then kind of either file fit, grind it to match perfectly. And then all I'll really have to do is weld, hopefully, just along this bottom here. and there'll be no weld seams through the center of it unless I have to widen it. But I'm not thinking I have to. We'll see though. Okay, so here is the tiny windshield stanchion on the quick little jig that I made. So those nuts right there are just kind of like spacers to bring it up, because that little nub there, I don't know if you can see it, that little nub was kind of holding it from sitting flat. So I just kind of put those nuts there, spacers, lift it up, and I bolted, put nuts on those bolts. I'll sit flat on those flat spaces because that's where the piece actually kind of like located. It was flat. This surface was dead flat, so as long as those are like that, we're all G. And what I'm going to do now, before I weld anything, I got to do this transition here, because you see how much skinnier it is now. So I just got to take some material out. I'll kind of show you what that'll look like. If it's too good. Okay. So to make this skinnier, what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut directly on that crease, so kind of to the right side of it. Same thing with this side. Geez, unstable, huh? So cut it there and cut it there. And then I'm going to slowly just start taking pieces out, kind of like this, making this wider, kind of like a pie, piece of pie taken out, and I'll move the sides closer, and it should eventually meet up with this size here. And it is smaller on the top of the stanchion, as you see here. Yeah, so you take those little pies out, and eventually we'll make it to that size, and we'll weld it up. So it's fit and bent and contoured to this angle. You can see kind of molds right into the sides, and there is a little difference in height between this and this here. See, it steps up here. You can probably see it in this. That little line right there, so that's a step down or a step up, whichever way you look at it. And this line there where I cut at is a slight step down. So the center part here has to be slightly higher than that mounting point, just only slightly. So I'll make sure it's pretty much about there when I weld it, and it should be all good. Weld it up, polish, grind it out, polish it smooth, and this one should be done. And then I'll just do the repeat on this guy here, and then I'll show you what they look like. But doing stuff like this, that's kind of crucial. It's nice to make a jig that, you know, lines everything up. So this one will be exactly the same as the other one. Even if I don't cut it correctly and there's a bigger gap, or I didn't cut it enough, or I cut it too much, and I didn't have something like this and I kind of just put it together and welded it, they'd be different. So with this method here, they're all the same no matter what. So like if there was a big gap, like this one's kind of a gap in here, because it's kind of hard to tell when you bent this, it kind of opened it up. I'll weld that up and you'll never know. If I put it together, bumped it down, now this hole would be too far this way, and they wouldn't be a true 5.5 chop. It would be like a 5/8 chop. You know, it's just little things like this that take a few minutes that'll make the job that much better. Alright, so we got these welded up. As you can see, they are small. Holy crap. He's going to have to wear goggles because this windshield is useless. And this is after a quick polish. Grind and polish. You know, I think it looks pretty good. But they are small, man, let me tell you. Alright, so that's that. Quick and easy job chopping these down. They turned out pretty good. I was kind of iffy on if just cutting the bottom off would look right, and they do. They're a little skinny, but it would either be a uniform taper like this, or it would have been really fat at the bottom to really skinny. Would have been a really hard taper and might look awkward. So these actually kind of look correct. So if I was going to do it again, I would do it this way. So now on, when I chop these, I'm probably just going to cut off the bottom. Makes it easy. So thanks for liking, commenting, subscribing, clicking the bell, sharing the videos, enjoying my content. I'll see you in the next video.